Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Education Town Hall. It is November 19th, I believe, of 2025. It sure has flown by. Today, just as a reminder, the Education Town Halls are recorded and posted on our YouTube channel. As people show up, we will admit them in. If you are not on mute, if you could just check your mics and go on mute. If you would like to speak today, we will have time for you to speak. You're just going to go ahead and raise your hand and be called on so we don't have anybody speaking over each other. Patrick, I noticed that your mic is on and I can't do anything from my side about it. So I just want to let you know if you speak, we can hear you. And with that said, we're going to start with something really exciting that I don't think people realize is going on. Monica, our education administrator, put together a slide deck for you of great information. Monica, would you come up to the podium and present on your education stats?
Hello. So very exciting this year, 2025. We've made a lot of progress, if we don't have it. So total courses that are approved this year, 493. We have 137 instructors approved. We added course categories to 34 instructors, and we approved 34 schools. So definitely a lot of progress within our education division.
And this is only since January of this year?
Yep, only since January.
Lots of progress. And how are those communications going?
They're going amazing. We are pretty thorough with everything. Like I said, if there's any questions from anyone, we're always here to help. So everything's going pretty well.
Awesome. Thank you, Monica. All right. I guess it's my turn. Yes, ma'am.
Well, almost everyone came on Google Meets, which makes me think we should maybe do this just by Google Meet. It's the room, we have a big room here, and well, we have Karen and Jackie. So thanks, thanks for being here, and thanks everybody for coming in on Google Meets. So the good news for the Department of Real Estate is that our 5-year rule review was approved by the Governor's Regulatory Review Council. We went unanimously through. So those draft rules that we had been sending out for over a year, it feels like, for public comments, and please read them, please give us your feedback. Many of you did read them and give us your feedback. Have been approved. They have been published with the Secretary of State, and the Secretary of State's office has told us the effective date is December 13th.
Yes, ma'am.
December 13th. That said, as you all well know, we have Kathy and Monica in education in our division, and they're two people, and they're really busy approving schools, approving instructors, approving courses, and their dates are already very full with regular activities. So we have to develop a rollout plan for education, and we are also cognizant and aware that all of you have work on your plates if you are a school that teaches pre-licensing and you're very busy updating your curriculum. So what I've decided is that we are going to establish a work group. And I think I had mentioned these sort of things when education town halls first started happening, because we used to have an education committee that was a much smaller group of involvement. And there's sort of a lift and a task. And what I'm hopeful to do is create a work group that represents pre-licensing schools as well as continuing education schools and schools that do all of the above. To have a work group that represents very large schools, and then medium schools, and then smaller schools. And, we'll take it all the way down to a school owner and one instructor kind of a thing, and how the impacts are. And we want to have probably several meetings going over the rules. There were no changes to the rules since all of you have last seen them published with the Secretary of State, and even the previous publication with the Secretary of State. So there were no changes. Those have been passed. They become effective in December. But as with all rules and all changes in law, agencies don't necessarily start enforcement of new laws on the day they become effective, because we have computer systems that have to be updated, and we have policies and procedures. There's probably some substantive policy that needs to be written and guidance out to the industry. And what's kind of critical for us right now is the discovery phase of what are your questions as educators? Can those be answered with a simple reading of the law, or do you need to gain an interpretation of how the department interprets that law and how that's going to be enforced? And so that would be SPS world. So all of the education SPSs are going to be up for review by this work group, as well as the new rules, and then developing a rollout plan for our education licensees for all of the courses, the certificates, the change of category. How do we want to review existing courses and change categories to be appropriate for what's under there? So basically, that is what my ask is of this group. If you are interested in participating in that smaller work group, because I also know if, I bring in 25 people, it's very hard to get anything done. But if you feel that you could be a good representative of a certain size school, or, and kind of fit into one of those categories, the education area are well represented, and my commitment is to work with the industry in a smooth and fair, timely rollout of the changes that have happened in law. So with that, if you'll use the message center and just sign in and direct that you are interested in participating, I would imagine that this is something you could probably expect the group to meet for an hour and kind of every other week for an hour until we get to the end, where we've gone through all of the rule changes, all of the needs for the SPSs. So it could be a work group project that may last as long as a year as we figure it out between the assignments. And this is also probably not a work group where you just show up and give your thoughts that are on your mind at that moment, but rather a work group where we discover there is draft SPS language. Everybody go back, maybe we divide it up and get some drafts going of how would you like to see that be. But rather than just sort of sit in my office and be like, this is how I see it, I really want the perspective of this division inside the department, of the educators that are out there, the school owners that are out there, and how we can best do this for our industry. So that's the ask. Send me a message in the message center or email, or however it is that you want to communicate. And with that, I'm not going to sit here and go line by line through something that I think almost everyone in this group has already read. That would be quite redundant, seeing as there were no changes that were done by the Governor's Regulatory Review Committee, and just really ask that if you have the ability, if you have the capacity, then I'd be very interested in your thoughts and your help in creating a comprehensive rollout plan. All right. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Kathy.
Okay. So thank you. A few things that Monica and I wanted to talk about is you saw all our numbers that Monica shared with you, and it was a lot of, up here.
Yes, they can't see you.
Okay. It was a lot of numbers that Monica shared, and so it shows you how busy we've been. And I appreciate all you guys as school administrators helping us with making sure that we can do it all quickly and efficiently for you. So when you send in your applications, we do have the new forms, and most of you have been using the new forms. So thank you very much for that. And I'm also seeing that in some of the distance learning that we don't have access to get in there to take a look at your course content. And so if you can make sure that the department always has a username and login so that we can always take a look at your course content when we need to. That was, about all that I had. I thought the commissioner was going to share a little bit more. Okay. All right. There you go.
Yeah, you can use your list.
Okay.
Okay, so a few updates on some awesomeness. So all of you saw the pre-licensed curriculum was rolled out October 1st, 2025. The commissioner wants the go live date on the exam to be January 1st. We are currently working with Pearson VUE, and that will be occurring where we'll have the two-part exam, general and Arizona specific. We will be hosting a listening session on questions to do with the pre-licensed curriculum on December 16th at 10 a.m. You will all receive in the recap a Google Meets link to come to that, and we'll be the ones listening, not you. So we'll be here to listen to your feedback and answer any questions you might have on that pre-licensed curriculum. There are substantial changes in rules. So if you have not read the new Arizona Administrative Code updates, please go to the Secretary of State's website. Under rules on the top bar, you can drop down and go to the governor's rule review, GRRC. I'm not really good at all these acronyms. And you can read the updates. There are quite a few things you will need to update your distance learning classes with to start next year to be in compliance with making sure that we are still engaging the students and the topics of the courses as well. So with that, that's what we had to present to you today. Do we have any questions? You need to raise your hand if you're online, because I don't know who you are until you tell me. Mary?
So I'm going to ask the first question. We have an outline that discusses on the national test how many questions there are going to be. On the Arizona portion, are we using the same breakdown that was there? Are there going to be 100 questions, 70 questions? Like how many questions and what categories, number in each category?
Thank you, Mary. We're actually trying to go to an estimate of items in each category because the goal is to have our item bank large enough where Pearson VUE can just go in and pull and create forms. So right now we're working with Pearson VUE, but there will be a total of 60 items on the state pre-license exam, and there will be 5 on there, so 65 that are unweighted for pre-testing statistics. So students will be tested on 65, but only 60 of those 65 are weighted, and we're still debating on how to roll out how many in each area since we won't have exact numbers in each area. Our
Thank you.
item bank is over 800 items for state specific alone. And the goal, of course, is to make sure that all areas are covered with the student and that one is focused in more than the other.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? There's so many smiling faces on here today. Marty. Oh, Marty, I can't hear you. Can you unmute, sir?
How's that?
It sounds good.
Okay, it's been a while. I went from an Etch-a-Sketch to Zoom, so it's taking me a little. But I know Pearson, we're going to go to a specific state and national test. Will the schools also have to do 2 separate tests, or can they still combine it into one test with all state and national material?
That is a great question, Marty. At this time, we didn't look at changing the educator's perspective, and one test would suffice for the school to take. We can definitely look at that in the work group if we want to see those kinds of changes in
Okay.
education, but at this time, we will remain as just one school test. Now, it's up to the school. You know, you guys are the administrators. It's up to the school if they would like to do 2 separate exams. The importance of that would, of course, be people coming in the future with reciprocity that would only need to be tested on the Arizona specific side. That is something to definitely think about.
Yeah, thank you. Can I ask one more question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the program will be changing in January, correct?
Yes, sir.
So students that are enrolled in pre-licensing now, who will not be finished in January, how are they going to be tested? And are we teaching them the curriculum that they know now, or are they going to have to learn new things? Because I have plenty of students who will not be finished with their pre-licensing. So how will they be tested?
Well, I would go through your curriculum as it is today and do an update course with them on what they need to know as well, because it did not take away from what you're teaching today. If anything, it added to what you were teaching today. And we can only do one test at a time. So we will go strictly to the new exams on January 1st. So
Okay.
they will be tested moving forward on the new exams.
Okay, great. That's great. I've already put together an update for them so they can see all the new material coming our way in January. Thank you.
Thank you, Marty. Jeff?
So building off of Marty's question, I've tried using the old curriculum and the new curriculum, and we're trying to spot what's changed, what's been added, what's been deleted. Do you have, from your perspective, did you create any kind of an Excel spreadsheet or any kind of a PDF that says this has been added, this has been updated, this has been changed, this is no longer being requested to be taught? One of them, for example, is the AMAs. I know you added things on home inspector licensing, so like that. Did you have anything that you could share with us to make sure that we're not missing anything? Because it's a 47-page document. I want to make sure at least that we're not missing very specific items that were added. So did you create any kind of a cross-referencing or a crosswalk between the old and the new material that we could have or share with?
Thank you, Jeff. If I had that, I would absolutely share it with you. But if you look at that pre-licensed curriculum, the section you should be looking at to specifically compare to what you're teaching now and teaching in the future, we did give you learning objectives to assist with understanding more than just the category. So that was a choice by the department to say, I don't think it's fair to just say active management areas without really knowing what we're going to be asking in those the contents. Those first, well, it's about 3 pages deep. I gave a heck of an entry. Sorry, this was 2.5 years of my life. So it's 3 pages deep. And I would cross-reference those areas. Again, the learning objectives were not required by Pearson VUE to be sent out with, but I thought that was the only fair way to really show you, hey, these students need to be learning these topics because this is what they're going to be tested on. I had another hand. Before I go back to Mary, I'm going to go to, well, she was there and then she was gone. Christina.
Sorry, yeah, I was, yeah. So my question is that I understand and I like the idea of having educators be able to get together and talk about things, but in the meantime, if we're starting this new test in January, where are we going to get some additional information in the meantime? For example, you list some case studies in Module 8.1, and these are all new case studies from my perspective. I don't know these cases. So are you providing summaries? Are you providing additional information to the stuff that was added so we can start teaching that as of January while we wait for that educator meeting?
We gave you a reference guide for case studies to assist you in the learning objectives with where some of the items are based out of. I'm going to take a couple more questions in pre-licensing, and then we are going to hold off until December 16th. But if you have other issues you want to speak to one-on-one based on what you're seeing, it's up to you to look up the case study. No one's going to have to know the name of the case. The concept is this is where agency came out of. This is where this issue came out of. Okay, well, these are the fundamentals on where these items are defined in law. So we trust that educators would resource their own summaries of these case studies and go into it and figure out the meat and potatoes of them to make sure that the students understand the outcomes of those cases. Again, no one's going to leave reciting cases. I don't need the name of cases. It's the concept of what was the outcome of that case. And they're just good reference guides. Are you good, Christina?
Yeah, I guess I was just in the case studies was just an example. I was just thinking there's so many questions that I have on some of these. For example, in the resource guide, you mentioned solar, but then the solar isn't in the outline. So I was just hoping, is there a place where we can ask some of these questions? But I guess you're saying that's for the December session. Is that what
Well, we'll listen to your needs in the December section, but really those resources these are all the topics that should be included in your curriculum, and the learning objectives really tie the curriculum and the test items together to understand what students are going to be tested on. So reasonable skill and care, but I'm more than happy, Christina, if you want to send me an email, just like I set up with another school to go over your questions specifically.
Okay.
Because everybody's going to be a little bit different on where they're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Mary? Oh, sorry, Mary. I was just kidding. Oh, I can't hear you, Mary.
I was kind of along the same lines where there were specific questions and to what depth some of the things are, because yes, I know that they need to know about agency, but then, you know, there was a question in there about like property management, talking about the type of agency, and it was listed as specific when we know that if you're a property manager, you're a general agent. So we were trying to get clarification on certain things like that, but if
And that
that's
was
just-
pointed, oh, sorry,
Hey.
I'm right here. It's me, it's not you. That was pointed out to me. Actually, property management can be looked at two ways, special agency or general agency. It depends how that PMA is written, if it's specific or if it's giving that broad ability for the landlord. So that you will have a revised pre-licensed curriculum outline with a few corrections coming through, that being added to, say, general and special agency and how it applies in December, because also I, as a courtesy, will be updating all the reference guide with the new rule numbers. Because I want to make sure all the Arizona Administrative Code, you know, you put so much pride into a work product, you want it to be accurate. So it will be updated in December as well.
Okay, thank you. And the questions that are, everything that's being updated has been updated in the question bank.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
And
perfect.
double-
Thank you.
I have read those items with a team of people about a dozen times now. I am so excited not to read them again.
Thank you.
Unless there's other changes. Sherry?
Can you hear me now? There we go.
Yes,
Um,
ma'am.
Real quick question. The December 13th date and the January 1st date, do we need to reference the December 13th date at all? Meaning, if you're in the middle of taking your materials now and you get to December 13th, you're still taking the one test with the existing material, correct? Does that work all the way through December?
The new exam with the two-part exam will not launch until January 1st.
Okay,
So
so
January
Anybody
1st,
listening out there? I'm so sorry to interrupt you, please.
I'm good. Go ahead, Sherry.
I was just going to say, so anyone who is in the middle of the process, technically get your test done before December 31st.
I definitely wouldn't make students fear that. I would
I
say as a
know.
school, you need to make a choice of how you're going to get them the additional information that they may be tested on. Maybe you know, in a school, create a day just about that. So I know when I went to pre-licensing school, I went to a school called Westford College. It was lovely. It no longer exists. They had an extra day where you could do like an all-day session about cramming information. Hopefully this test, in the ways that it has been updated, students can no longer cram to memorize to take. Hopefully they'll be able to analyze and apply. And
But
then,
just in timing, that's what it looks like, correct?
yep, in timing, December 13th, by the way, is the date the Arizona Administrative Code goes into effect on how it's written. We do plan on following that for all new applications, right to what it says and making changes. But again, that work group's really going to talk about how the Arizona Administrative Code rollouts for education to make sure that people have time, schools have time to get up to speed. I'll take one more question on pre-licensing and then any other questions on other topics. Go ahead, Mary.
So the last question is the pricing. Is that all staying the same for the testing? And if somebody passes the first test, like let's say they take the test, they pass part of it, but not, is it going to be the same cost to take it, to retake?
I will be rolling out the cost. Actually, we have a meeting with Pearson. By the way, Pearson View just changed their name from Pearson View to Pearson. They just sent that email this week. So we have an update call with Pearson tomorrow. But right now, if you schedule the general exam with the state exam, it's the same cost. If you have to take the state exam or the general exam again or on a different date, then you're going to incur additional cost. Because you have to remember that administrator at the location is incurred cost. So we will have those cost updates out to you after our Thursday meeting with Pearson.
Thank you.
Because I'd rather have it verified first. But at this time, if they take it at the same time, it's the same cost. Okay, any questions on anything other than pre-licensing? Patrick?
Yes, ma'am. I hope that this is a related question for educators. I am receiving on average 2 to 3 calls a week. You know, my school is commercial, so these calls are primarily from commercial licensees I had two yesterday randomly. And I of course attended and listened to the advisory board minutes. Can you maybe update us or tell me where you stand regarding this, getting a new fingerprint clearance card and/or the call yesterday from a guy who was licensed 3 years ago, and he got a message from the department wanting from him, the documentation that you're permitted to be in Arizona. And of course, he did that 2 years ago, and he said, "What do I do?" So I don't want to repeat what the commissioner said at the advisory board meeting, but maybe you can. I can't believe I'm the only person getting these calls. But,
Well, I'm so glad people are logging into their portals, Patrick. To be honest with you, usually people don't log in until the day before they have to renew. Not all of them, some of them don't. It was a joke.
no, all commercial do. That's part of the regulations. All commercial licensees do everything the last day, last hour. That's required.
Awesome. Well, hopefully they stop doing that. So just a reminder, the advisory board meetings are on YouTube, and you can hear the commissioner present on the new rule sets that goes along with the 2 law sets that require fingerprint clearance cards. Fingerprint clearance cards are valid for a 6-year period at a time. They are required to renew your license now. They've always been optional to on a renewal and utilized in a way that if there were disciplinary actions that the department had found out about, which is a self-report system, that the disciplinary area of our licensing department would require a valid fingerprint clearance card. In rules, now in section 300s, now I'm not really great yet on these new rule numbers. It's either 302 or 303, I believe. But again, don't quote me too much on that because I have to dig the numbers up right now too, because some have changed. It does require that everybody upon an application of any kind with the Department of Real Estate have a valid fingerprint clearance card, which is very different than a fingerprint card. The clearance card, again, is valid for 6 years at a time. Now, are we holding up anybody's ability to renew their license right now if they don't have a valid fingerprint clearance card? And the answer is no, unless there was some disclosure issue with a felony and something that affected their license per the law. Moving forward, though, you'll be seeing and hearing more of the rollout plan. Now, our licensing records are awesome, but they're not always perfect. And to your point, Patrick, since we are humans and we're not perfect, sometimes 3 years ago, we may not have keyed something properly in someone's license record. Residence verification or legal verification has always been a requirement. Most people turn in a copy of their driver's license with their application, and some verifications actually expire. So if somebody goes ahead and puts it in with their original salesperson application, we're going to key it in. And if it's something that expires, they're going to receive notice once that expires, and they're going to have to update us so we can update their license record. Now, if we made a mistake and we keyed it in properly, they may be receiving the message and they just need to reach out to the Department of Real Estate and say, hey, I received this, but I turned this in, so I'm a little confused. And we'll go ahead and get that corrected. Usually these folks are receiving information because it's expired of what they turned in, and it doesn't always go along with your license expiration date for your real estate license versus your driver's license. Passports never expire. So Patrick, what I would tell commercial agents is they need to get a passport and they need to turn it in to us, and then they don't have to worry about it again. Also, we coded our system to be in compliance with the law, so it would tell licensees, because there was no way for a licensee to truly know if they had a valid residency on file with us or not, or valid verification. And so then it emailed out in a mass, and it continues to update people, hey, you need to turn this in to get your license up to speed. Again, all they need to do is log into that portal, take the front and the back side, scan it in, and our awesome licensing team gets that keyed into their license record. Now, we do have money for a new IT system. Yay! And that's supposed to be starting in January. Yay! And so hopefully it won't be so much manual input on our side, and we'll be able to flow this faster, working with DPS and other agencies to verify information faster. So that's where we are. So if they're getting any kind of warning signal, they just need to able to go to azdps.gov, create an online portal and register to take your fingerprints through there. It goes much faster and much smoother than going and starting from scratch.
Would you please repeat that, Mandy? You froze up, and that's important what you just said.
Absolutely. It's azdps.gov. They can go ahead and create an online portal on DPS's site. They can pay through DPS's site and schedule their fingerprints to be done. And then they just have to show up and go do them. I did this. I wasn't in compliance last year. I didn't know that. And so I went and got my new fingerprint clearance card, even though I don't have a license at this time to do real estate. And that's how I did it. And it took me about 3 days to get notification, 3 business days that said, hey, your fingerprint clearance card was approved. It's in the mail on its way to you. So I really enjoy the online system.
Someone online, Mandy, asked, when will the fingerprint go into effect for renewals?
We are, fingerprint clearance card requirements are being rolled out. We're doing an education series with the industry. We're trying to work with the industry to have a manageable amount of people before we do a hard cutoff. We look at 2026 as that education timeframe until we get to a manageable number. Right now, we only have about 1,700 out of 83,000 licensees that have valid fingerprint clearance cards on file with the Department of Real Estate. So it's going to be a big rush. So to think that people in January are just going to magically have them, it's not good. And we're not here to put anybody out of business. So we're just trying to get everybody to understand you need this. So apply now, get it in. That way throughout 2026, after that, they're up to date.
Someone else is asking, where can we access the new exam questions or content?
The pre-licensed content is on our website at azre.gov. It's under education, and you can go to resources and forums, and everything is listed right there. And then I saw Becky has a question.
My question is in regard to the continuing education credit category that's been changed from commissioner standards to requirements for licensees. That's all fine and good, but I'm just wondering if we're still referring to rules as commissioner's rules, or are we changing the name of that as well? I'm trying to update my material to kind of get ahead of the curve, and I'm just kind of unsure on some of these things.
Well, the requirements for licensees, we're working right now with our IT system, our IT guy, to recode Realm starting in December 13th. But it should still be where if anybody took commissioner rules, anytime that they could legally take in the 2 years prior, it's going to key and account for requirements for a licensee. So no one's going to have to retake the category. For schools, I would say definitely start relisting your course categories that were commissioner standards to requirements for licensees. We do expect schools to do what you always say, you always do. I know you guys do this, and stay up to date with the rules and double check your curriculum and update your classes as required and as needed to meet the law sets. We will be looking at course material upon new applications and renewal. If we get any feedback, of course, like we always do, Kathy's been great, and so has Monica, on school content, on classes. We always go ahead and reach out and start looking at the content to make sure it's the most up to date. So we would just trust that you would make those changes as of December 13th. Again, if someone took commissioner rules today, it will count towards requirements for licensees starting December 13th. So no one needs to retake anything, and you can start redoing your certificates.
Okay, my question in following up is a little broader than that. I can certainly swap out the language in the classes, but when we're putting a citation in as far as the source of a requirement, do we say this is based in commissioner's rules, or do we go to this new language across the board? The
commissioner rules is a way people have always said Arizona Administrative Code. So Arizona Administrative Code is known as rules. And so how you want to say that in your class, as long as the student understands you're talking about Arizona Administrative Code, you're good. I always knew it as commissioner rules myself, and then I had to dig deep into working for John and Dana to find out, oh yeah, that's Arizona Administrative Code. So as long as the students understand that, also requirements for a licensee can include more than just the Arizona Administrative Code. You could discuss the case law in regards to how the code's written. So how you want to say that commissioner rules is not a wrong statement. Arizona Administrative Code is known as rules. It's just the commissioner truly, it's Arizona's rules. She has to follow.
Thank you.
Anything else? Don't forget to smile, guys. You're all on camera, you know. It makes a better day when we smile. Always happy to take your questions.
Mandy,
Always happy to go down.
Mandy,
Sue.
you made a comment that the passports don't expire. They do expire. I just
They
wanted to
do?
let you know that. Yes, they do.
Passports do expire
Passports
in terms of
expire.
a passport. They don't expire in our licensing system as a verification of, what is it called? Legal presence. So for
Okay,
us,
great.
they
Thank
don't
you for-
expire for legal presence, even though they have an expiration date themselves for you traveling.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Thank you.
Someone is asking when they get their updated fingerprint clearance card, if they should just, send it in through Message Center.
There's a couple ways to do that. When you obtain your fingerprint clearance card, if you're a licensee, please log into your licensee portal and update it there, because then it goes to a system where licensing can just click approve and it just files into your licensing record. If you send it through Message Center, that's not the end of the world. And if you don't have a real estate license, please send it through Message Center. But that's more of a manual process because we actually have to then go attach your attachment of your scan to your license record. I know it's only like 1 minute more. It's just, we could really save some minutes if everyone did it through their portals. But if you don't have a portal, be sure to send it in through Message Center. Any way you give it to us, we will process it. As long as it's a legal way to get something to the Department of Real Estate. Do not send anything to Mandy Neat through Facebook. I will not respond. Oh, with that, guys, this has been a really great Wednesday. Oh, Todd. Hi, Todd.
Hey, Mandy. Hey, can you repeat the part about the meat and potatoes and what time is that going to be ready?
Are you asking me for a roast and some green bean casserole?
I'm just giving you a hard time.
I
Thank
know.
you for all the work you do down there. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Todd. I saw your vintage T-shirt the other day and thought of you. I think that's all the questions, right?
And Annalise has her hand raised.
Oh, Annalise has her hand raised. Hey,
Hi, good
Annalise.
morning. Can you speak to the rule requiring certification of attendance for asynchronous providers? It offers two-factor authentication as an option. Can you kind of speak to what does that entail? What factors would be sufficient? And also, can we use other methods other than the three in the rules, or are those the only ways that we can authenticate students?
So student authentication and certifying a student is the licensee taking the course has been something that the commissioner, as you all know, has been really passionate about for her whole time here in office. I won't get into the nitty gritty details. I know that our education person, Kathy, is working with schools one-on-one, but when she added those areas in the SPS to give ideas, it also said you could come up with your own ways. You just need to let the department know how you're certifying a student. So, Annalise, if you need assistance, I'm more than happy to have a one-on-one conversation with you on how that applies to you and your school and what maybe random audit items you're doing to certify that a student is a student and to ensure that it meets the SPS requirements.
Thank you.
Thank you. I know I'm good on my feet, guys, but like that one's a lot. That's why we work with everyone individually, because everybody also has individual abilities based on their systems. Okay. All right. Is that me? Is that it?
That's it.
Is there more questions? All right. Again, don't forget to smile. Have a great day. Go educate the world. Thank you for all you do. We'll see you soon.